Does your wife or someone you don't like leave your car seat in a position that's really awkward and annoying every time you jump in your own car? Well, today I'm going to show you what's inside of your car's power memory seats and how it works. Now, this power seat has its memory functions integrated into the seat itself. Newer vehicles are going to have this integrated into the vehicle's CAN bus. Now, this is an 8-way power adjustable seat with the recline function, a slide function, as well as a height adjustment for the front and the rear, as well as lumbar support. Now, in addition, this seat has an airbag inside that pop out of this side bolster when you crash. And here's a look underneath the seat. We have the seat position control module over here that leads up to most of this wiring. The yellow wiring goes out to the airbag on the side bolster. We have 4 electric motors here that control the reclining and sliding functions of the seat. Now I'm going to begin disassembly by removing the plastic trims and then the bottom seat cushion. Just disconnect all the wiring. As I peel this back here, you can see that this bolt here is the pivot point for this chair back, and this is the bolt that connects to the linkage. I'm going to first start by removing this 10mm bolt. And then now I'm going to get in here with the 12mm and remove the pivot bolt. Remove the chair back and pick up the seat bottom. Alright, so I've got everything rigged up to power here, and I put the rear bolster back on so we can have a look at how all the mechanisms work. Now, for the rear recline function, this is the motor here that's going to spin up, and you can see that it'll actually turn both sides over that way, and there's this flexible drive shaft over here that drives this side. It's then going to turn that screw gear, which is either going to compress or expand on this linkage here and pivot the rear bolster about its pivot point over here. Perhaps a little bit more difficult to see is the front tilt motor located over here. It's going to drive this little screw gear here to move these brackets on either side up and down to tilt the front seat bottom. Next up, we have the rear height adjustment. Now, this motor really does a lot of work because it's got to lift the weight of the seat as well as the person who's sitting inside and adjusting it. You can see that it drives this little screw gear over here, which then is attached to this sway bar looking mechanism here. Then there's a distance between this pivot point over here and the sway bar itself, and that distance is what allows the height adjustment of this. You can see it kind of reclines the seat back at the same time as pushing the back of it down. It's not literally just raising and pushing it down in the same spot. And finally, we have the motor that slides the seat forward and backward. Now, it has its own drive shaft to make sure that the tracks on either side move at the same distance and speed, and they're not offset to each other. You can see when I rotate this forward and backward how the tracks slide together at the same speed. Alright, so we're back down to the frame, so I'm just going to disconnect all the wiring harnesses so we can tear this down and have a closer look at the encoders and motor. Now, I didn't think this video would be too dirty, but there's quite a lot of dust that builds up underneath your seats, so I'm just going to use my brother's old sock here and dust everything down. All of these motors are just held on by Phillips screws, so I'm just going to loosen them up, and then I can remove the motor. And here's what that motor looks like. Now, its drive is just one of those square pieces of metal. That's a bit flexible, and that engages with the square inside of here. Now we'll just remove that motor and remove the recline motor. Now I'm going to disassemble the height adjustment mechanism. I got 2 12mm bolts here and a nut over here. In the frame here. This one's got one of those annoying press clips that just push right on. And I can just remove that washer finally. Now, this mechanism is what holds the motor. The motor plugs into here and bolts up to here. I'm just going to open up these hex bolts here so we can have a look at what the encoder looks like, which is the key to the memory function on this power seat. Now I'm just going to loosen off this lock nut on the end here and spin this off, and that removes the swirly gear from this encoder mechanism. Now I'll just remove those hex bolts, and then I can remove this encoder assembly from this frame bracket. So here I've got the motor encoder assembly. The motor is going to input its torque over on this side here and output its torque through this little thread on the inside here, which is what leads into this spiral gear. So now the basic essence of how this encoder works is this sits on the back here. Here we have the little encoder that senses the pulses in the rotation of the motor as it drives this input shaft here. You can see as I rotate this input shaft, this has the output shaft rotate. And as I push out that output shaft, you can see that there's a spiral on the inside there. I can push this shaft out, and we have the shaft here, which actually has a free spinning bearing on it. That's pretty cool. We have what is the magnetic section. You can see how my screwdriver is sticking to it. So this little magnetic ring that rotates is what's going to be picked up by this encoder to count the number of pulses that the motor has to rotate in order to bring the seat back up to the correct height. Now, for each one of the motors on the seat bottom, there's going to be an encoder that's built in that tells the position of the seat to the seat control ECU, so it knows where to put the seat back once you've moved it. Now, taking a look at the wiring diagram for this memory seat, we have the control ECU in the middle here, and that takes its power from the battery. We've also got its inputs that come from these seat control switches that go directly to the ECU. Now, continuing that, at the bottom here we have the 4 encoders that give feedback to the ECU to tell it where the position of the motors are relative to where they were, because these are encoders and not potentiometers. Therefore, once you reset the battery, these are going to zero out, and it's only going to record the number of steps you've moved from your last known position to where you want to set it. Finally, at the bottom here, we have the 4 motors for the front height, rear height, sliding, and reclining functions. We've also got inputs that come from the seat memory switch, either the 1 or 2 position to set it. Now inside the electric motor, we have these brushes here that are spring loaded. Now sometimes these are what wear out that cause the motors to stop working. And inside here we have the armature. It's got the coils inside of here, and then inside the casing we have these magnets. I'm just going to unscrew that, and you can see it's just a standard buckle. And I've already got a video on how seat belts work, so make sure you check that out. Further disassembly, I'm just going to remove this little C-clip here. And with that out of the way, I can remove this entire arm. You can see when I rotate the screwdriver really fast just how slow that spiral gear there rotates. So I'm just going to remove this little C-clip over here, and that should separate this seat mechanism in half. Pull this guy out. Now we're going to take a look at how this mechanism works. So what's interesting about this rail is this is the top part that moves with the seat, and this is the bottom part that bolts to the car. Inside of here there's actually a nut which is probably secured to the spiral gear inside of there. As I rotate it, you can see that it actually moves the seat rail, and it's going to slide it forward. So I finally figured out how to take out the sliding seat rail mechanism. You just got to remove this nut here and have this thing retracted almost all the way. And then I should be able to just slide it straight out. And then once that spiral is disengaged, I can remove the encoder and motor holder assembly. These 2 little nubs in there are what prevent this rail from sliding all the way back. It just stops there. So I'm going to have to punch those back out of the way so I can get this to slide off. Now, I knew I couldn't get through this video without using my angle grinder. And with those tabs out of the way, slide the rail out. Taking a look at the sliding mechanism construction, this one has this U-shape on the bottom here, which interlocks with the U-shape on the bottom here. However, in between them, we have these 2 plastic sliders that sit inside of here. They even have these little rollers on them. You can see that they actually have some grease on them still. Just wipe that off with my brother's old sock. Here we have the little block that the spiral threads into, and as this spiral rotates, this is bolted to the ground. The other piece is going to move, which is going to cause the chair to move. Now with most of the seat frame apart, you can see how the height adjustment works for the rear. It's basically a 4-bar linkage as it connects. Now just as a test, let's check out how fast this motor actually spins. And next up we have the seat back. Now it's got an airbag inside, so I gotta be careful. In order to open this up, I gotta remove this back panel. So I'll just come in here with my brother's old toothbrush. There we go. Pull that off, and that's what that backing looks like. Oh look, I found a penny. When was the last time you saw one of those? Now a chair structure is largely made of metal to give it its shape. We also have this foam backing, which you actually sit on and give you comfort. Now the leather itself is attached through these little hog rings over here. And in order to remove hog rings, you just got to use the side cutters and cut them off. Now with most of the leather removed here, the only part left is this side airbag. The other part to note on the seat back is this is the heating element for your heated seats. Now if you save these can probably be retrofitted into another vehicle. Now I'm going to remove the frame. Now the cushion itself is no more than just injected foam, but it's got these little rods here where the hog rings for the leather is going to clip onto to keep it nice and tight. So this here is the side impact airbag. It's housed inside of this plastic housing here. Now I really don't want to trouble this too much in case it does go off on me. Alright, I got my brother's toothbrush on there. We're going to see what this airbag can do. 3, 2, 1. Now this airbag is so weak, it just went right around the toothbrush. Now the last thing to talk about in the seat back is the lumbar support adjustment. It's got this little motor mechanism over here that's going to move this arm. And then I can remove the entire mechanism here. This mechanism is pretty straightforward. It's going to pivot about this point here to move this arm back and forth. And if you think your car didn't have that much lumbar support, that's all you get. And we can see what's inside. Now inside of here it's pretty cool. You have a small tiny little motor arm, that's for lumbar support. But I suppose there's a high gear ratio here, so that's what gives it enough power to push up against the seat. Now the top here we have a little circuit board, and that goes to this little contact pad over here. Now this contact pad contacts these little arms on the output gear. So when the output gear is in the furthermost position, it's going to break the contact and therefore break the circuit going to the motor, so it doesn't burn out itself. And inside the seat bottom, it's not that interesting compared to the chair back. This one just uses a metal pan with a soft foam inside. However, I do want to take this opportunity to show you the difference in leather materials used on modern car seats. If you're gonna cringe, you might as well cringe right now. Yeah. I always wanted to do this. So after a little cutting, I was able to rescue the heated seat element from the seat. Now what's really cool is it's got these two extra elements on the side here to heat up the bolsters on the side, which is pretty cool. And you've got the temperature sensors located at the back of the seat here. However, why I really cut away the seat here is to show you the differences in leather seats. You can see the top surface here is made of real leather. You can see that its texture is just like leather on the back, and it has that leather texture on the front, so that's real leather. However, if you come across the side here and you cut a piece off, you can see it's actually vinyl. This is not real leather, and it's not going to last nearly as long. As you can see here, the side of this seat is actually worn out because it's vinyl and it's not as strong as the leather that was on top, although the leather still takes more abuse and more wear from people sitting on it. So when they say you're getting fully leather seats, yeah, sure, maybe the top is real leather, but they are skimping out on the side. Now I am a little bit surprised because this is one of the classic Lexuses when quality was really a good thing. Now the headrest is fairly simple. It's got a mechanism inside that allows this thing to tilt back and forth. And once I unclip that, I really wouldn't want to do upholstery work, man. This is too much work. You can have a look at the frame inside of here, and it's just got a slight pivot to it. That's what gives you that adjustability. Nevertheless, I got me a nice little bag here with a little handle, and I can fetch my tools around to the junkyard. So the next time your wife or your mechanic changes your seat position, think of all these components that have to go inside just to hopefully get it back to the right spot. Now make sure you follow me on Instagram if you want to see more behind the scenes footage, subscribe and hit that bell notification icon if you want to see more videos just like this one.